glorious Ashes of Creation March development update. We hope that you have all been well and safe. I'm Margaret Crone, your Director of Communications, and with me, as always, is Stephen Sharif, our Creative Director.
Woo!
Stephen is feeling better now. I think last
I
month,
I am feeling much better. I had a very quick little pneumonia trip, and then then that ended within about 3 or 4 weeks. So I apologize this time. I will not be hacking up a lung for the most part, but I am feeling much better, and it's been a crazy month.
very busy. And as you can see with our run of show below us, we have a lot to cover. So we aren't going to go into the nitty-gritty on every single thing, but we will be going over some reminders, talking about the Rogue, which I know everyone's very excited for the new archetype. Node Siege, Relics, and Naval Combat. So we'll be talking a little bit about all of those systems and not only what you're going to see in current Alpha 2, but also kind of like looking to the future or what kind of feedback we're looking for in regards to some of these features. And then we will be doing a live Q&A, probably just float around in the water and talk a little bit while we are answering those questions. So
Yes.
if you do have any, please post them into the Twitch chat or wherever you are watching, and we will snag those. Our team is on it. They're checking it out. They're looking at all the places. And so with that, we will head on over to our YouTube subscriber spotlight because we got lots to cover. I want to keep us
We
on
got a
track today.
lot, a lot.
Because Stephen and I also have very busy schedules after this. We have a whole big fireside chat with our entire company that's coming up after as well to
And we
make
got a
sure
lot
we're.
of and we got a lot of bugs to smash.
Yes, we have a lot of bugs to smash. There will probably be another update coming tomorrow. So for those of you who are invested in playing Alpha 2, there will probably be another update coming up in the morning. But our YouTube spotlight for this latest one, and of course, if you would like to be spotlighted, just subscribe to our channel. Make sure you're subscribed publicly, and then also leave a comment on our development update for March. For February's spotlight, we have will we see ground fog in the desert in the early morning like we do in real life? It would be cool to see different atmospheric effects throughout the day, even if they don't persist for long periods of time or even in every season. And this is from Benjamimic.
Yeah,
Thank you,
that's a
Benjamimic. And also been like subscribed to us for 4 years. So thank you for that. We appreciate it.
My goodness, 4 years. That's a long time for
Yeah.
subscribing, Benjaminic. I like Benjaminic. That's a good name.
Yeah, I like it
Yeah,
too.
so to answer your question, obviously that type of detail is definitely more on the polished side. And we do intend to have, that level of polish within the world design, especially as it relates to atmospherics. We've built foundationally a system within our weather system, within our time of day system where we have very specific controls. Whoops, I just crashed in game. That's so sad.
Rip.
That has, I mean, I was just literally about to open up the control settings so that I can read them off. But we have things like humidity, we have things like time of day, we have things like precipitation, wind speed, wind direction. All of those things are relatively comprehensive so that when we do have the time to start polishing the game, we can create those types of unique atmospheric experiences based around, let's say, the morning or the evening, and you can see that kind of variation. We have very talented environment artists, obviously, as you guys know, along with our lighting artists that are responsible partly for the fog within the game world. And we do want to have a very vibrant and I think realistic looking environments. And you can see that right now in the desert.
Yeah, and we'll constantly be updating that. I know the team is, working on not just even the element of visuals, but also the sounds that you hear and things of that sort to give you atmospheric vibes. But yeah, I think you'll get what you're looking for, Benjaminic, out of the things. Moving on over to our reminders, just kind of reminding folks about Alpha 2 access, you can head on over to ashesofcreation.com/shop. We also sometimes do some giveaways, so be sure to follow us on all our social channels. There may be another one coming soon. We also have, the realms up Thursdays through Mondays currently, depending on what we've got going on and how things are working. Obviously, we're constantly testing stuff, so there may be times where we have to take things down or bring things up, or we're patching. For those of you who have actively been part of our community for a while now, you probably have seen that we've been pushing updates like crazy. Our goal is just to fix things and make sure the experience is, continually improving over time. Um, In regards to the PTR, just because we've had a lot of questions, we have started to expand PTR. We continually keep doing this throughout, all of the testing that we've been doing. We're inviting Alpha 2 testers now. All of the Alpha 1 testers should already have access. And we are starting to invite some of the Alpha 2 testers as well in batches based on your purchase date. So I believe we've got all of the Voyager Plus folks in. We're moving people. I think we're going to start moving to some of the Voyager pack folks. So we will start adding more people as we need them, but it also depends on what we need for PTR testing. But I just wanted to kind of reiterate that, folks, because we've had a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to give context for PTR, obviously, did I lose my boat? Did I lose my ship? No, I didn't.
It's still here. We're all on
Okay,
it,
good.
so.
Just to give context, obviously, for the PTR testing, that is under visual NDA. We are much more liberal with the state of certain features and or content that is presented within the PTR because of that reason. And obviously, as a result of that being under visual NDA, we keep the user group relatively confined. But as Margaret said, we will be expanding it. As you all know, for those of you who have alpha access at all, eventually the alpha servers will become the PTR when we get into beta, and then eventually when we get into launch. So just keeping that in mind, it's going to be a gradual increase in the player base for that PTR user group.
All right. And of course, we're constantly looking for feedback from y'all. We have this whole thing called the Dev Discussions. If you're not aware of that, basically we post up kind of different topics that we're looking for feedback on. And sometimes we even give you prompts in regards to the kind of things we're looking for. But of course, give us anything in regards to the topic that you feel like you want to share with us. But currently we have a boss environment one that is available. We want to know, how can the environment and setting of a boss encounter enhance the challenge and immersion of the battle? And feel free to share some examples of bosses and environments that you like from other games or other experiences that you've had. And then recently we put up a gatherable spawning system dev discussion, and this came along with an article. We obviously have seen a ton of y'all's feedback in regards to gatherables and the spawning and how those things are spawning currently in their current state. Obviously, we've mentioned this a few times that that is not our final state of how we want the gatherable spawning system to work. It was just, this is, getting our core loop in regards to that system. But we do want to give you guys an understanding of like where the system is evolving to and what our goals are. But we didn't want to rush those things just to get quick fixes in. We want to really put in what our intentions are. So we shared those intentions with folks over in a news article. If you haven't checked it out, we highly recommend you go check that article out. It's pretty in depth. It also goes over the dates and stuff of that sort when things will be coming down the line. For that system, so that you're aware of what we're looking for. In regards to the dev discussion, we're asking you for what aspects of the current gathering system you like or dislike, what makes the gathering system fun for you, what kind of scenarios would you like to see encouraged throughout the system. For example, finding high-level surveying to a party, or finding a high-level surveyor to party up with, or party to unlock, or party to lock down, or nearby cave full of gatherables, things like that. And then, are there gatherable systems in other games that you enjoy? What is it about those mechanics that you find fun? And which of the upcoming gathering related changes, are most exciting for you and why? We also have a Rogue One that is up, but we'll talk about that in a different segment that's coming up here. And of course, our next one will be in regards to node sieges. So lots of things for you to get feedback on. We have many, many systems and features. And of course, if you do encounter any issues in game /bug, give us details. If you encounter an exploit, there's also a little exploit button that you can plug in there, and you can report those. Those kind of move things up in our queue to make sure that we are like aware of them. So just kind of making sure that you share those things with us in game is the best way. And I've mentioned this before, but when you /bug, it also gives us some other information with your bug. So doing it in game versus like posting on forums or DMing or tagging people is the best way for us to get those information and very quickly. And it also spams us all. We have like a thing that we can follow. We can see everyone as they come in, which is pretty cool as a development team. Moving on from there, our last reminder is that we are hiring. We have a whole slew of positions available that we are trying to fill. We even have a couple contract positions that are not up there. But yeah, we are working really hard to fill many positions that we need in order to continue to create a wonderful world of Vera.
Absolutely. I think we have 8 new people that are starting over the course of the next 2 weeks.
Yes. And we have many more that we
Mm.
need. But with that, we will head on over to our rogue preview. We have created a little video, so we're gonna let you all check that out. If you haven't already seen it in other spaces, we also posted an article, but we'll see y'all in a moment then. Hello, glorious adventurer. Today we are taking our first look at the rogue archetype in Ashes of Creation Alpha 2. Alpha 2 is in an early testing phase in which Intrepid Studios is continually updating. The rogue is about being one with the shadows, knowing how to move with subtlety and when to stay put. The rogue is a master of opportunity, using skill, positioning, and the environment to dish out frightening amounts of damage. In their downtime, they provide excellent scouting, helping their friends navigate dangers otherwise unseen. As you progress with the rogue, you will gain access to many different abilities. The most important one being stealth. To enter stealth, you must distance yourself from all non-allies. This can be done while you are in or out of combat. When the ability is activated, you are now invisible to those around you. Stealth is directional based, so the more directly behind someone you are, the less likely you are to be spotted. You will also unlock access to many different combat abilities. Sneak behind your target and use backstab to deal massive piercing damage as an opener. Use lacerate to apply some damage over time with a bleeding debuff. Or dish out quick burst damage with acrobatic strike, using it to get to the other side of your opponent. The rogue archetype utilizes a class resource called Advantage. This resource can be gained by casting specific abilities, granting you up to 2 stacks of advantage at one time. The rogue can then consume these stacks with specific abilities, giving them additional benefits such as dealing increased damage and silencing your enemies. Whether you enjoy scouting battlefields or knocking out enemies with sleep darts, the rogue will have a variety of ways to play. Explore this archetype and many more on Vera now. Don't forget to /bug any issues you encounter and leave the team your feedback and thoughts over at forums.ashesofcreation.com.
Hey, that was pretty
Seems like,
good.
yeah, seems like people like it. I'm glad you guys like my narrating. Some people don't, some people do. It's uh, hit or miss sometimes.
Well, I know
Uh,
a lot of people have been clamoring for that rogue archetype to get released, and it's been nice to watch over the course of yesterday and today. How many people are creating rogues and playing with the archetype and submitting bug reports. And, obviously that's the whole purpose of alpha is to, clean up the bugs, to refine the systems, to iterate on our designs. And your guys' feedback, of course, is paramount in that process. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the archetype. I know Bucky and the combat team have done a phenomenal job in bringing this archetype to life. It takes a little over, I would say, 3 to 4 months or so to kind of bring an archetype like this to the place where it's at. Next up, as we know, is of course the summoner, but the rogue is going to
People are
be going
excited for
through.
Summoner.
I know. Well, a lot of engineers over here are excited as well because it presents some unique complications from an archetype perspective.
For
Um,
sure,
but
with all the
but
pets.
yeah, but what I will say is, obviously, as you guys get your hands on the rogue and you test out the rogue, make sure you're using your /bug report. We've already got a lot of great actionable stuff from yesterday to today. And of course, one thing to keep in mind is that as we have these kind of larger releases, and our point 0.7 release, which is what we released yesterday, is a relatively large content release. Comparatively to the releases we've done thus far throughout Alpha 2, I would say this is the largest one yet. With the expansion of the Turquoise Sea, with the introduction of the archetype for the Rogue, with sieges coming online, dual daggers being available, and of course the naval and ship combat, construction, traversal, movement. There's a lot of pieces here that came out with this point 7
Relics,
release.
deconstruction. There's
Relics,
a lot.
yeah. There
I
is
think you keep
absolutely.
going. Check out the patch,
Yeah,
the update notes. They're lengthy.
they are huge, but just keep in mind, as we release these beefier content, packages, there's gonna be a heavy need for us to bug fix, to interface with you guys in the community to talk about what experiences you're having with these bugs so that we can isolate, identify, and prioritize the fixes that we want to bring over the course of the following weeks, our 7.1 and our 7.2 releases, which there will be a redeploy. I think that already happened this morning, and there will be another one tomorrow where we're identifying the most pressing fixes.
All right. Yeah. And in regards to the Rogue, obviously what we showcase there is not all of what's available to the Rogue. If you pop into Alpha 2, you will see a whole slew of other abilities that we did not showcase in that. But for sake of time, we just wanted to kind of show off the key features of the Rogue. And of course, we are looking for a ton of feedback. As Stephen said, there is a dev discussion prompt available for you, an article and a web page as well. So it's pretty exciting. We want to know what feels fun and what doesn't, what abilities you like, which you don't, what visual effects and sound effects you feel are good and not good. And we're going to continue to be working on those things and progressing them. So, and I know one of the other things that we always hear is like, oh, what about the other archetypes that are already released? We are going to be continually making changes to those. So, stay tuned as we have other updates coming out. We will be making adjustments to those ones as well. For the rogue class, we also have the mechanic advantage. We want to know, how does that feel to generate the resources and spend them? Does that feel good? In regards to the stealth, does that feel good in PvE and in PvP situations? And for dual daggers or dagger weapons in general, for those combos, what do you like about them, and what do you feel needs improvement? And of course, whenever you're giving this feedback, providing what level you are currently when you're providing that feedback would be super helpful for us so that we're aware.
I
Um,
also I also do want to give a shout out to our Turkish community. I know that we have a lot of Turkish players. We see that obviously. We do absolutely consider localization efforts based off of populations and locations that are playing the game actively. So we see you. I just want to let you know we see you.
yeah, and we're like Steven said, we do have quite a few languages that we are going to support, and those are available over on our KB article in our support section of the website. You can see where we're headed, and it is based on like amount of people who are there. And obviously, as we can expand to more, we will.
Yeah, we have actually a relatively robust localization tech that we use as part of our dialogue creation and quest content creation and UI that is meant to be adaptive for many localization efforts into many different languages. So that is something that is at the top of our mind as part of development.
Great. And with that, I think that's the Rogue. We got lots of cool stuff. Go check it out, play it. We've already seen a bunch of you playing it. If you encounter any bugs slash bug it, let us know, and definitely head on over to that dev discussion to give us feedback. And we're gonna swap on over to Node Siege. For Node Siege, we don't have a big video for you. It's a little chaotic. If you've ever been in mass combat, lots going on. But I kind of wanted to walk you through how the Node Siege works. We have seen some people already engaging with the system. The next one will, I believe, be coming up 8 p.m. Realm time. So if you I saw that there have been some Node Sieges already started. They will take about 24 hours to get started. But I'm going to walk you through that a lot of the questions that might be happening. So the first thing is obviously anyone who is level 15 plus can craft a Node Siege declaration banner. This costs about 1,000 gold and some significant resources as well. So it is quite a hefty thing to put in together. So it will
And
take some
it
time.
should be hefty, right? Because, ultimately, even though we're not necessarily allowing for node destruction quite yet within the sieging system, eventually that will be a component of node sieges. And we want to make sure that the cost is representative of the efforts required to even build a node in the first place. So I saw there was a lot of commentary about that cost. That cost is going to be obviously iterated upon, but keeping in mind the goal, the objective for that cost is to be significant.
Yeah, I mean, you can ruin a node. It's pretty big thing. You then take that node siege declaration banner and you are going to place it on the platform in the node you want to siege. A village level 3 node can only be sieged, so it has to be level 3 or above to be sieged. And this can only happen once every 3 days, and that is per node. The siege will be queued up for the next available prime time slot, which is 8 p.m. Realm time. So if you're on Byra or Lyneth, that is Pacific. If you're Litharia, that is a CET time zone. So just making sure that you're being conscious of that, it will come up in the next prime time slot. So I know that some people already started it, so we're going to see some coming up here this evening. We're definitely a bunch of us have timers set up internally that we're going to come watch what you guys are doing and what happens. Once that is started, so once you place the banner and the siege kind of gets going and gets queued up, you can then start beginning to join the defending and attacking team through the diplomacy tab in the node menu. Teams should persist throughout logout, so if you log out and log back in, you should still see that you are part of whichever team that you joined. Being in the node area at that time is how you will partake in the event. So you definitely want to log in and be part of the event. Only players who have joined either the attacking or defending team will be allowed in the area. So if you are in that area and you are not, you are going to be kicked out. So just being conscious of that. If you get kicked out and you're like, what's going on? Or every time you try to go to that realm, that's probably why there's a siege happening. If someone is not online, the mayor can swap them out with other players on the wait list. If that's not functioning right, slash bug, let us know, but that is the intention. Once you get over 100 players, as a mayor, you should be able to see the wait list and be able to swap people out. There are some rules in regards to that, like citizens always get, they will always be able to be taking a spot over another player who's a non-citizen, that type of thing. So there are some rules in regards to what mayors are allowed to do in regards. Once the siege starts, you're fighting over things. So, like the main thing that you're going to be fighting over objective wise as the attacker is the gates. And once you get the gates down, channeling the banner. And then as the defenders, you want to defend the gates and defend the banner. There are also a bunch of safe houses in addition that allow you to have additional spawn points. And those are super handy to get you closer to the objectives, obviously. Win conditions wise is, if your attacker successfully channel the banner, and you win. If you're a defender, holding out for about an hour, and then you will win. Rewards will be given to everybody who was on the winning team, and you receive those rewards via mail. And that's kind of how the system works. If you have additional questions for us, where to find us, ask us questions, and we'll definitely try to answer them the best we can. The community team is grabbing questions as well right now.
And keeping in mind, this is a very important note, and help us communicate this with perhaps less engaged, less informed testers. As large features come online, like Siege, like Naval, they're going to come online in stages. And those earliest stages are going to be the worst that those systems are ever at when it comes to functionality, bugs, polish. Like, our whole purpose in introducing these systems at an early stage is so that we can identify as early as possible changes that need to be made before we spend the time to polish those systems and features. Because polish is a very big part of making these things, enjoyable and game ready, right? So we want to make sure that foundationally we've addressed the bugs, that we've addressed the iterations that are necessary for the gameplay loop itself. And we can only do that by having you guys involved in that process. So that's why we're comfortable releasing these things in early stages, whereas most games that you probably played don't do this. And that's the whole purpose of our alpha. So just reminding people, like, as these large features come online, the whole goal is to identify the bugs and help us iterate on them. They're not going to be complete. There is a path towards these getting built over time, layer by layer. Additional systems will come online to support this. For Siege, we're talking about the actual node destruction. We're talking about the ruin phase. We're talking about rewards and the accessibility of the material storage place. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's still on the roadmap for these large features.
And speaking of this feature, there are a lot of things that they're working on as we move forward, which is, adding the declaration process itself will get more involved as we add more features to the siege, especially when we turn node death on. Of course, more objectives, siege weapons, pillaging, and node destruction. Those are all things that you're going to be seeing in the upcoming months. So there are a lot of features that we do want to work towards, and what we're looking for right now is feedback on point respawns. What do you think about the locations of these? Did you have any thoughts regarding the wave respawn features? Um, the final objective locations, do you think these are good places to have the objective? And if you have any thoughts on how that functions, the gate destruction, time to kill, and what do you think of the time to kill in general? I think, time to kill we know is a big topic as a whole for the community. So feel free to give us your feedback on that as a whole. And of course, the impact of archetypes. Did any archetype stand out as too impactful in the siege? Did some of them feel less impactful? Let us know, and we will be taking a look at all of that. And that's Node Siege. Are we ready for the next
right.
one? We've
I'm
got a lot
ready.
to
Let's
cover.
do it.
All right. Moving on to the relic system. This one we're going to be a little bit more ambiguous because the whole point of the relic system is that there are powerful relics scattered throughout the world of Vera, and we want you to go find them. Some of them may be really easy to find, some maybe not. So the ones that are straightforward, some of them can be found via like killing an enemy. Others can, have little clues hidden on interactables and item descriptions that will require a little bit more investigation to discover. Once a relic has spawned, you can pick it up via a caravan and take it back to a node of your choosing. Once your caravan has landed at the node, it will enter the node's inventory. The mayor and citizens can view the node's relics from the node UI. Each relic has an interactive or an inactive benefit, which is a passive benefit for the node just owning the relic. And they also have an active benefit, which can be activated specifically by the mayor. So the node has a limited amount of essence that you can power, and essence power you can use for the relic slots. So you have to choose very carefully which ones you want.
Which ones you're going to
Activate.
keep
Yeah.
activated. Yeah, exactly. So you can acquire many different relics. And I guess, for those of you who are perhaps more design savvy within the audience, you can kind of tie together, obviously, this incentive loop between sieges and what sieges represent and relics and how those are essentially a focus of why sieges should exist, which is that it's a competitive world out there. There's a scarcity for these relics. There's a scarcity for the rewards that nodes can partake in, right? And each different node is competing for those scarce resources, relics being one of them. So even though you may have activated a particular relic within your node, if your node is sieged and the siege is successful, those relics can be stolen and they can be taken to different nodes. And over time, eventually, these relics will be acquired, accrued. They will grow as a prize for players on the server to target nodes that are most successful in this endeavor. Obviously we want players to go out there. We want them to find these relics. There's a whole bunch of predicates that might lead one to find a relic. As Margaret said, that could be as simple as killing a main monster, or it could be as complex as a very intricate story arc or quest line that ends in a particular way, or some treasure that might drop it. Like, these relics then need to be kind of ferried back to the node via the caravan system, which obviously is another risk, because as you're taking it back, should somebody learn of the fact that you've acquired this relic, they're likely going to target that caravan. So this is something that I think is a key component from the player incentive mark, and relics being in the game now is super exciting.
All right. And on that note, relics are also limited. So some are super legendary to the point that only one of them can exist on the realm at a time, and then some are less legendary but still limited. Additionally, they are very rare. Finding one will be very difficult, to say the least. And obviously, we're not going to give you too much information in regards to that because we want you to go explore and find them, but they are there. They're out there. So have fun looking around for them. In regards to feedback, we want to know, do you feel the difficulty for acquisition is good? Do relics feel awesome? Do you want them to, how do you want them to feel? And what kind of things do you feel on the feedback front would be awesome to add to the relic system? So what kind of features would you like to see added for relics and abilities and passives and things like that? I'd love to know. And of course, for the feature of relics, um, they will eventually be displayed in the node when activated by the mayor, so you'll be able to like gaze upon them.
Well, there'll be,
Currently, oh, go ahead.
you
Sorry.
know, I was just going to say that there will be a reliquary, it's called, which is a building that houses the relics, and they'll have unique physical appearances eventually. But that's not going to be the case quite yet.
Okay, and then of course, currently they can be they can provide recipes and buffs to the ZOI, but we have more types of benefits planned for the future, and even some that may impact the entire world. So very, very exciting stuff. But we would love to kind of get your ideas on what kind of things that you would like to see come from that system. And with that, we're going to swap over and meet up with some folks in game. I
Ooh, that's
see Steven is
exciting.
captaining a ship.
I am. That's our next topic that we're going to go into, which is the naval component. I know many people are
Naval.
excited. Let me switch over. Should we just switch over to Discord?
Yeah. Hello,
All right.
everybody.
So, as you guys can see, we are on a boat. We have released a very initial early version of Naval. They're obviously not intended for the Riverlands. However, as part of our release yesterday with the Turquoise Sea, unfortunately, we had a small issue with our H-LODs. And for those of you who don't know what H-LODs are, essentially these are a system that allows us to kind of render in at a distance large landscape meshes or foliage, and without them generated, the Turquoise Sea looks a little bit sparse. So we're going to get that fixed today and have that deployed probably by tomorrow morning. And in the meantime, we're going to be in the Riverlands today for our showcase with boats, which is obviously, as I said, not intended, but will satisfy its purpose regardless. And we are
Yeah.
joined by some pretty amazing people who did a lot of hard work this last month, these last few months actually, in bringing to life a lot of the systems that we talked about today already. First time actually joining us, we have Jason Howard, one of our glorious engineers, who is the mastermind behind the boat tech in bringing it online and where it is today. Jason, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing great. I'm super excited to be here. I've been a player and watcher of these streams for a long time, so this is very exciting for me.
Well, we are very excited to have you because you have done some crazy amount of work. I know this last week has been crazy for you, but I think the hard work has paid off because this is a beautiful ship and it is very fun to drive around and kill things with. And I know players are going to be enjoying it and giving you all the feedback you need to refine the system.
Yeah, I love that we've got players already with us and on our ships and just ready to have fun with us. So this is just really cool.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we have another first-time individual joining us. One of our new additions, actually, to the team, senior producer, without which, of course, all the chaos would ensue. We have Jocelyn. Jocelyn, how are you doing?
Hi, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Happy to have you. Of course, you keep things running in a timely fashion and bring a bit of order to the chaos, which is always nice. And of course, the developers appreciate with their hearts open and happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy Jocelyn has joined us. Jocelyn's one of my
Absolutely.
favorite people.
Oh, thank you.
And then we have some recurring faces. Of course, we have. Actually, I'm sorry. We have another first-time stream joiner. We have one of our other glorious engineers who's done a lot of work across a few systems actually that got debuted as part of this 0.7 release. Devon, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing good. Excited to be here. Yeah, getting to
Excited
work
to have
on siege boats and relics. Is
I
Yeah.
know you were everywhere, dude. You're just like, where's Devon? We need him for this, and this. It was kind of crazy. We're excited to have you, Devon. All right, and then we have, of course, our one of our glorious designers who has done a lot of work on the Siege side, Brian Ferguson, who has been kind of leading the Siege efforts. So for those of you who are going to be participating in Sieges anytime soon, Brian has been orchestrating the work towards that over the course of the last few months. Brian, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. Happy to be here representing the Siege team. Definitely wasn't only me. There was a huge effort across the studio to bring this together. So big shout out to the entire Siege team.
Happy to have you. And of course, you guys, you're going to see a little bit of, we're going to touch up these effects, the water effects on the boat. They don't have, it looks like, a curve that's applied to them. So that's going to get fixed probably in tomorrow's redeploy. And then we have joining us, of course, is another one of our glorious designers, who is responsible for all things world, Jeremy, who has spearheaded the work on the Turquoise Sea, bringing these pocket dungeons to life, and of course tying into the narrative and the theming of these zones. Jeremy, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Glad to be here representing the artists, Zach, Tristan, Hans, and the designers, Ben and Jess, for all the work they did in the Turquoise Sea. Hopefully Maggie's people will be able to showcase some of that for you in the next couple days.
Yeah, we're excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Very cool. And then no design team would be complete, of course, without our glorious director of design, Bill Trost. Bill, how are you doing, brother?
Doing good, looking to blow up some people with some potion launchers here.
Yes, these potion launchers. The potion launchers, which ironically enough actually feel very much like cannons, but they're not. They're potion launchers. That's a key distinction, I think. They sound like them too. We have a
There's no gunpowder in these things. These are all arcane, baby.
yes. And then joining us as well, we have, of course, Margaret. How you doing, Margaret?
Yeah. I'm ready to potion launch some people. I'm with Bill. Let's go find some people to potion launch.
Let's do it. Am I missing anybody? Are we all here? Did I shout out everybody? I think I did.
If
Yeah?
you've not been shouted out, holla.
Okay, I think we did. Cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit about actually these boats, because I know obviously naval is a core system that a lot of players are very excited to interface with, and we've talked in the past about how, of course, the naval systems are going to incorporate many different types of ships classes and attachments. Jason and Devon, if you guys want to talk a little bit about how we're approaching vehicles as a whole, right, with this idea of base actor class that's going to have componentized attachments and making it kind of friendly across all vehicle types between siege, ships, caravans. Talk to us a little bit about your approach there.
Yeah, certainly. So, I mean, we definitely know that these things are going to be expanded, and we want them to be. So we've basically just created like a base vehicle. Caravans are kind of their own thing, and they're going to remain that for a while. But with naval and going forward with siege, they're all going to have a lot of shared functionality, and we want to be able to just expand on these as much as we possibly can. Be able to have like n number of different launchers or weapons that just slot onto the different types of ships, and we've kind of architected this to try and be as easy for designers to decide that they want to have whatever configurations they want, and then we will more easily and more rapidly be able to support that.
Absolutely. I think obviously with a system like these vehicles, for some reason I'm trying to edit my HUD to remove nameplates, show player nameplate, and it's not. Reason might be a bug that we need to get addressed. Was working in the past. Let's see, self player.
When you do page down, it doesn't remove your UI.
Well, if I page down, it'll remove the UI, but I didn't want to remove all the UI. Doesn't
Oh,
remove all
gotcha,
that.
gotcha.
Anyways, that's a bug. We'll address it. Yeah. So Jason, as you were saying, like obviously, vehicles are a relatively expansive system, and making sure that we're building it foundationally to support all of the intents that we have across the many different features that are going to intersect with vehicles is the most sane approach, but also one that now, as we can see with this ship, we have got off the ground in a pretty good spot. And as we kind of continue to go around bug fixing what we have currently, I think that players are really going to enjoy the types of like gameplay loops that incorporate these ships. And one thing I just noticed, you have a ship that's quite a distance from us. Uniquely, and you might have died. Oh, the ship
Oh
sank.
no. Thinking.
We're still alive. We're still alive.
Oh, okay, good,
Okay.
good.
We just see it
That's
going
good.
down. into
Yeah.
the-
Good. But obviously, there is a lot that goes into the Navy, and one of the most important things about obviously the open seas is that they are a dangerous place, and there is a lot of money to be made within the open seas if you are trading. And we have some harbors that were introduced in the Turquoise Sea. There's 2 harbors actually, Jeremy, I believe, along the coastline, one in the north and one in the south. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, there's one where the Sea Hook node is going to go on the southern side. So when you come into the Turquoise Sea from the Riverlands, it'll be you'll be to the west. What we call the southern node right now, and then on the other side of the Turquoise Sea, near where the anvils will go, where the dwarf land will be, there's one on the northern side, and it's actually called Eastern because it's eastern side of the Turquoise Sea, but it'll
Yes.
be by where Shorefoot node.
So I
is.
Some of the
have-
things that you can expect. Oh, go ahead. Sue.
I was just going to say, I have the map open, and I'm taking a look here so that everybody on the stream can kind of see. This is the extent of the Turquoise Sea region, and within this region, obviously, it has a lot of like this, more archipelago kind of design, a lot of different islands to kind of interface with, and some of these islands have some interesting pocket dungeons. Is that right, Jeremy?
Yeah, we've got several pocket dungeons out there. There's a history of the dwarves and the humans, both dwarves and aliens, Dunir and aliens, sailing in the area. They kind of contested the area some. There's mines to find. There's relics of old shipwrecks. Let's see, lava vents, things like that, with all kinds of different enemies to find and fight.
Very cool. And then, so one thing that's very important about the Lawless Territories is that we've actually introduced some unique mechanics from a player incentive perspective that interfaces with some kind of more end game gear and crafting elements, which incentivizes players to kind of go out into these lawless territories and seek out these rewards that perhaps are a little bit more dangerous to do so, because a player could be behind any corner and could try to gank you for your stuff. But as we said, these 2 ports, the harbor caravansary here in the eastern harbor and in the southern harbor, these are where ships can be launched from. Now, obviously, you can take a caravan from anywhere within the Riverlands, and you could turn it into a raft. And this island over here, furthest to the west, actually has a trade turn-in for a trading post for these commodities, and it returns a very high value of return for those commodities if you're able to get there. So the concept is that obviously this is a high turn-in location, and players will have these caravels, as we call them, available to kind of participate in ship versus ship combat, to jack your shit, so to speak, to grab your commodities and turn it in for themselves. And so this is going to be a little bit of a bowl of chaos and havoc, which is what we want to see, right? We want to see that level of investment from the players. Something unique to note about boats, obviously, is that they must be launched from the harbors. Is that correct, Jason?
Yeah, that is correct. It's going to require a good amount of gold and a specific type of component in order to be able to craft them and then launch them. But like caravans, you will be able to launch it and you'll be able to turn it back in, and it will go into a storage so that you can access it again.
Yeah, and after you purchase your ship, there should be a little launch button that you can use. The harbor master NPCs. The construction time before your boat becomes operational is about 2 minutes, so it does take a little bit of time. And then when ships are within the range of the shore, you should be able to dock them, so to speak.
Yeah.
it should be-
Protect those boats, because when you lose them,
yeah.
Yeah, you lose some resources. And one other thing that I would note is that the experience right now for the deployment of the ships is very similar to the way that the caravans work. So you get a dock. However, the dock will remain so that you all can use it to traverse over it and then hop onto your ships, and then it'll eventually disappear. But we intend to make all of that much better and just more visually pleasing as the systems progress.
Yeah, and something else to note about these ships that's unique is they have a oh, let's see. This is Citizen's Caravan. I'm gonna register as an attacker. Uh-oh.
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 We're going to battle?
I don't know.
They're on the
are
other
you
side of
guys
me.
able-
Engage.
Are you able to
Engage.
shoot them?
I can't shoot them because they're on the other side.
Okay. That's
Fire!
But Jasari and
They might kill us.
another person.
Oh, I love it.
I
This
think
is
I have to get
awesome.
off the cannon to get in the. I can't attack it.
Oh, this is great. Another thing that we're going to be adjusting over the course of these few weeks here is obviously the movement mechanisms as well. We have a static kind of acceleration value that we're going to apply a curve to, so that there's a little bit more strategy involved with, you know, how you're driving these ships when you're using acceleration and or slowdown, how you're turning them. You know, we want that to be a mini game in and of itself that requires a bit of skill cap for the drivers to kind of become accustomed to, so that there is a breadth of essentially success that different skilled players can have. This is beautiful,
Hoist
by
the
the way.
sails.
Yeah, I love this. This looks great. In fact, I think that we could probably, if we wanted to, gonna go over here towards Carfin a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we should go over here towards Carfin. I like the first here. I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat. Okay, so obviously we have potion launchers that are currently available as attachments, but we have a lot of ideas for different attachments that are going to be available, whether it be water breathing devices for, like, you know, underwater. Oh my gosh! Hey, we're letting them broadside us. What is going on?
Item! Fire!
We are here to attack.
All right, I'm shooting him.
Yeah, why don't we open fire? Look at how
I
many
did.
people they have on
I
their
have
ship
cooldown.
too. Oh no, we need to turn a little bit. Let's try to get out of here.
I can't
can't-
shoot if you turn.
No, I know, but they can't shoot either. See, we're at the the bow of their ship. We just need to get on the other side of them now.
I'll switch to the other side. I'll go to the
Port
other
side fire!
cannon.
Yeah,
Starboard side!
we need the port side to open fire here.
Okay, I switched to the other side.
There's about 80 to 90 meters or so. That's the distance on these cannons, by the way, if you guys are wondering. The call distance on the ships, you can see them, I think, at a 350 meter distance. So,
That's correct.
okay, cool. The caravels being the combat ships, they have a 350 meter call distance. So you can see them from quite a ways away. And I believe the caravan rafts have a 250, I believe, call distance.
I haven't looked at that, so I'm not sure. But
Okay.
probably if we haven't changed it.
Okay, so the rafts can be a little bit sneakier in the sense that, you know, you can't quite see them from quite the distance. And of course, as I said, we're going to have different types of attachments. Some of those attachments might give the ability. Oh my gosh, they are just laying.
Jeremy,
Complete
did you go
fire
over
to
there
us.
and invade their ship?
Fire!
Oh man, and look at how fast they are too.
He's
Sorry,
on.
Steven, we're not letting up.
Yeah, you guys
on
are
their
just
side.
destroying us.
Broadside!
So you guys are seeing the damage that these particular potion launchers do, about 12,000 damage. The ships themselves have about 500,000 hit points, and they do have a combat and out of combat regen rate. The in combat regen rate is about 0.01%, and the out of combat regen rate is about 0.2% of that 500k. Now, ultimately, as we talk about these naval ships, we're going to keep them relatively in line with the way that caravans are currently working, in the sense that you will have different attachment slots. Some things that might relate to the hull or to the mast or to the sails, and those will all adjust the ship's stats. And of course, one other thing that's important to note is that these ships are expensive. and they are intended to be expensive. And when they get destroyed, just like your caravan. And you can buy the base ship again, but you have to replace the components. So that is something that is, making these a little bit more higher stakes gameplay. That's something that's important.
I'd also point out that right now the caravels don't have any components, but that is not the end goal for the system right now. It's just what we have when we've launched right now. So there will be components for these. We will get stats for them, just like caravans. It's just not there yet.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, that's kind of what I was talking a little bit about earlier on the stream. These are very large features, very large systems. Oh my gosh, I am dying. Somebody needs to heal me. These are very large systems.
Okay, I'll heal you.
Okay. These are very large systems. And, with these larger systems, it's going to take time for them to come online fully, right? We want to iterate on them. We want to identify the problems with them before we start expanding the content related to them and polishing that content.
We gotta kill this guy that's killing Steven.
Yeah, there is just somebody on me.
Yeah.
But we're surviving here a little bit.
Oh my gosh, I was healing you like crazy. No, I can't heal you.
I'm digging this. This is fun. I can't wait to see a bunch of players with a bunch of boats out in the turquoise sea.
This guy does not want to leave you alone, Steven.
Who is it? Is it Steven's feet?
No, it's Tots or whatever.
It's Tots? Who is
Steven's
it?
feet? Wait, is there someone named Steven's feet? Oh
There
my
is,
gosh,
there
there
is.
is. Why?
Because we recruited them.
Why?
I mean, these ships were supposed to support 8 players, but I count definitely more than 8 players on this. This
Yeah,
is
what's
pretty
going
cool.
on?
We recruited them to bring you down. Go!
No, get out of here.
Port side, fire!
Oh man, look at... Dude, Jason is a skilled captain of a ship.
Yeah. Did someone else take one of the... Okay, yeah, they did. So I was like, I can't heal you and also be on a potion launcher.
We're taking on water. Fire!
Are we really? How's our ship?
My captain.
How's the ship health doing?
It's not good, it's bad.
Is it really? Are we about to die?
We're gonna die.
We've got 20,000 hit points right now.
Oh no! Oh
Ryan
no!
with the killing shot.
Not like this!
I can't swim.
Oh my god, I'm gonna die! I just died! Oh my gosh. What have you guys done? Our ship,
Pounding Jason.
the USS Intrepid.
Where are we meeting you at, Stu? The USS Intrepid.
Oh man, that is rough. That is rough. Oh gosh. What do you guys think of this in chat? Tell us your thoughts so far. This is just the first iteration. That's pretty exciting for me. I can't wait to get into this naval. It looks great. You guys have done a great job, Devon and Jason and everybody on the team that's been working towards these ships. This is a great expansion.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, like, this is definitely not just me. Like, there are so many people that have worked on this and made this thing a reality. And I mean, it's super fun. I'm really stoked that we've got this in here. It's a lot of fun. This was an amazing experience right now. So, yeah, a lot of people made this happen.
Yeah, you guys did amazing.
Yeah,
job.
would you guys like to go over a little bit of like what kind of feedback you're looking for from the players?
I mean, definitely we want to know about feel. We want to know about how the weapons feel, movement, like pretty much everything that is here is very, very early stages. And we just want to know what kind of gameplay people are looking for with Naval. What kind of experience are they looking to have? Like, how can we make this system better? I mean, that's really what I want to know and what the rest of us want to know.
Yeah, and they had some
Great.
additional ones here, which was, are you having issues with purchasing ships or launching ships or docking them? Are potion launchers working as you would expect them to? Do NPCs on land behave when you attack them with a potion launcher? What issues do you have when destroying another caravel ship? And what issues do you have when destroying a caravan raft with potion launchers? And what can you do with the ships that you feel shouldn't be able to be done? And of course, and you operate things on an enemy ship, kind of like seeing if there's any weird anomalies that we need to fix. With our 0.8 release, we have a lot of cool things planned for harbors, harbor caravansies. We're hoping to have more exotic commodity vendors, selling special harbor commodities, and of course, at the harbor masters, players being able to load cargo into their caravans would be really cool. Or their harbor, like actually on their ships. Is that the plan?
Oh
Getting
yes, I'm
the-
sorry.
yeah.
So one thing that's going to be changing with vehicles as we approach this more componentized structure is that certain vehicles will have an inventory component or a cargo component, and when that component exists, it'll grant certain actions to the vehicle, whether it's a ship, whether it's a caravan, whether it's a different type of vehicle, that will essentially allow the ship to interact with cargo that might be placed in the world around them, such as picking those up. Or deploying cargo that might be within the inventory space. And when you approach within the radius of a turn-in spot for cargo or inventory, you can interact with that as well as a separate action. So there's going to be some changes to the way that caravans work as part of this new vehicle refactor, and we're pretty excited to see that.
And then, of course, looting cargo is going to be a thing that should be interesting. And then the destruction element of boats. We're going to continue to progress and change those. So keep in mind, there's going to be more updates. This isn't the end in regards to that. And I guess we'll move on to some of the questions. We've got quite a few of them here. The first one here is actually for Siege, so maybe Brian can chime in this one. He's been pretty quiet actually through this stream. Will citizens be able to or need to move their resources to other nodes before the siege starts?
Whenever the siege is declared, all resources at the node will become locked.
Oh, snap.
That's
So-
right. And who knows when that siege gets declared? That's part of the intrigue, isn't it, Brian? Like if you're obviously there's a lot that goes into acquiring the siege scroll. And so natively as part of that, you're going to want to interact with a lot of other people to kind of pool the resources so that you can acquire the siege scroll, right? And if you're doing that in too open of a way and people catch wind of that and they know who your target might be, before that declaration occurs, some people might be moving resources out of that target. So you got to kind of be a little bit sneaky about it from the player kind of intrigue perspective, right?
100%. And that's going to be more and more difficult to do whenever we add more and more to the declaration process.
Absolutely.
Right. And then the next one here is about transporting relics. How are relics transported? I believe I talked about this a little bit through the caravan system, but I don't know if you want to add more information about that, Jason
Or Devon. Devon, you worked on the relics a lot, didn't
or
you?
Devon. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so relics currently will be able to be transported through caravans, and eventually, when we continue this vehicle refactor, any vehicle that has the capability for storage will be able to transport relics.
Yeah, that's exciting too, because obviously from a ship perspective, as many players know, there is an intent to have a merchant ship, which is very different from the raft and or the caravan itself, because it will be capable of holding large cargo containers. And large cargo containers, which will only be available within that merchant ship, will need to be turned in at certain harbors. And so when we're talking about kind of the map and where we're moving to next, oops, sorry. Where's my map?
Are we saying where we're moving to next?
Oh, I think we
We
are.
revealed
Are we- haven't we? Did we not say that? Did we not say
You're
where
gonna
we're
make
moving?
you're gonna make Jeremy
Jason's
nervous.
like, wait a minute.
No, I'd say it.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. Okay, so here's the idea.
We're going
Obviously, as you
south.
guys can see, we've completed, the Sand Squall Desert last month, and as part of the Turquoise release this month, the next place that kind of makes sense, if we're talking about now with the introduction of naval and these different harbor locations, is the Jundark or Jundark. Sorry. The Jundark. We should do a community poll. Do you like Jundark or Jundark? No, I'm just kidding.
No. No.
Jeremy doesn't want it to be. Jeremy
Jeremy
Jeremy's
does
I
not
want it
like
to be
Jundark. He likes
He wants
Jundark.
one thing.
Yes. So this Jundark area
Jungle.
actually, which is an extension of the tropics biome with some different, some different additions for, jungle elements to set it apart a little bit from the Turquoise Sea. That is going to be complete, which creates an entire connective tissue with water along this southern coast all the way around this area here. And
So
you can
Magma
probably
Harbington, they go all the
exactly
way from the Turquoise Sea all the way around the
Yes.
Jundark, up to the Breeze Bay Harbor and Riverlands and around the desert, the Sand Squall Desert.
Yes. And the Jundark is planning to be released next month. So
Well,
with the release of that, with the addition of some additional harbors, there might be some interesting trade on the seas that's going to be it's going to be rough. Going to be rough
Be
waters.
lucrative.
Yes. Where'd that boat go?
All right. And then the next question is, what are the other types and sizes of ships that will be available? I don't know if we want to list all of them out here, but maybe talking about what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about obviously the merchant ship. Merchant ship's going to be a big one. But from there, obviously we want different types of combat ships. Some of those combat ships are going to be unique classes based on the types of attachments that they can have with them. We obviously have one type of potion launcher now, but that potion launcher might have different variants. Those variants might be higher caliber, and that higher caliber might require a unique class of ship to sustain that size of attachment. In addition, we talked a little bit about kind of ramming ships and whether or not there's an attachment for the front end of the ship and a certain gameplay mechanic that might be more conducive to ramming other ships as opposed to engaging in kind of broadside ranged attacks. So these melee emphasis, I think that's going to be interesting for us to play with as well. And then that's going to create a rock, paper, scissors type of dynamic between the different ships out there, right? And you may not always have the ship that's best suited for the type of scenario you're getting involved in.
All right. And there will be many ships types. We'll share more about those as we move forward. The next thing here is, will people be able to add custom flags to their ships?
Oh, definitely. I definitely want that. I also want there to be
Customization.
some more customization elements than just the flags. Whether or not that's like certain painted sections of the hull, if you want to have emblems on the hull or unique elements of the of the boat itself, including adornments on the deck, different attachments, cosmetic
Masthead.
attachments. Yeah, absolutely, totally. I mean, that's all long-term polish goals, right? We're not going to see that anytime soon, given the state that we're in with Phase 2 and how we're trying to approach Phase 3. But long-term, that is the goal, is that there's a lot of customization options.
All right. And then will there be any NPC ships in the world that people can attack, like PvE, not just PvP?
Yeah, Bill, if you want to speak a little bit about kind of our intent with, naval content as a whole, not being just PvP or player focus driven, but also, the types of like raids and, PvE content that we want to have in the seas that these boats get to intersect with as well.
Yeah, totally. We're investing in a whole bunch of new NPC factions that you'll encounter in the open water and along the shores of the various new areas that we're putting in. So yeah, we want there to be a wide variety of PvE content in the ocean as well as the occasional release of a Kraken or something like that.
Yeah. Tentacle come up and take your ship down.
Exactly.
And then the next one is, can we buy insurance for our ships? People want to insure their ships.
That's a good question. What I will
Economy?
say,
Hello?
what I will say is that there absolutely is an opportunity for us on the design side, and we've talked about this in the past, about whether or not certain attachment types might offer either resurrection, repair, or even reconstitute the ship after some period of time. There are opportunities for us to discuss that. It is something that design has discussed in the past, and I think we're open to. Now, whether or not that actually meets kind of the definition of insurance, I don't think so, because you're giving, it's a kind of a give and take, right? You're occupying some of the slots of the ship, so it reduces its efficacy in engagement and in battle and or in gameplay, in exchange for that kind of insurance factor.
So people
could
have
have
definitely
them
shared
in-
this thought, even in our PTR testing prior to putting this onto the live realms, that they feel like for testing cases that the ships are too expensive. Will we be adjusting ship costs to allow more folks to be able to play with them, or what is our intention with the cost?
Well,
it?
I will say the cost in and of itself is also a testing parameter, right? What I would say, if we're talking about functionality of the ship, from a combat perspective, from a movement perspective, like we in the PTR, that's where we kind of give ships out for free, right? And we let players test their, those elements of it. But in the persistent Alpha 2 environment, we also want to test how players behave when that ship is lost and the cost is high to retrieve it. We need to understand how that gameplay loop interacts when destruction is a real thing, and we need to see how players interact with that. So it's important on the Alpha 2 environment to represent that persistence and that progression, and then on the PTR environment is where we get to hand them out for free and say, go break everything possible, here you get them, repeat.
All right. And then the next one is there anything to promote ship versus ship gameplay? Like, are we intending to implement some things, or are there things that are already implemented in regards to promoting that? Otherwise, people feel like it might just be more beneficial to board the ship and wipe the people off the boat.
Well, there are some speed considerations about ships. One is that, ships generally will exist within the realm of 7 to 12 meters of movement per second. Whereas in swimming, players can only move at 3 meters per second. Now, of course, there's space that's relevant for aquatic mounts, because aquatic mounts can move anywhere from 5 to 7 meters per second and relatively can keep up. They might even have some unique abilities that are relevant for ship combat for aquatic engagements. But that is what I would say is helping to kind of reinforce that.
Right. Then the next one here is Phase 3 is set to focus on content. Will the Riverlands get the first content pass, or will all zones have similar concurrent content releases?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
For Phase 3 of Alpha 2, we had said that some of our focus would be on content. Will the Riverlands get the first content pass, or will all zones have similar concurrent content releases?
That's a great question. So from a narrative perspective, there's a little bit of retooling work that's happening right now on narrative to adjust the way that we are implementing our events, our quests, our commissions, our story arcs. And that is definitely part of Phase 2's development roadmap for narrative. It is going to be spread out through the new zones that we are creating. So as you see new zones get debuted, they're going to have some limited amount of events that are present. When the nodes get a pass, that might happen a few weeks after the initial zone launches, and the nodes get implemented within that zone. They're going to have mayoral commissions. They're going to have node commissions that are relevant to the space as well. And then eventually, what's going to happen is the world team is going to continue kind of pushing forward on expanding the playable space through the approach of landscape, foliage, and gatherables. And then the other teams are going to come in behind after that set dressing is done by the environment artists, and they're going to start filling out the canvas with those additional narrative systems, with the node systems, with the reward systems, to kind of continue building out that space. You're going to see some very rapid growth within the initial, the first continent of Vera over the coming few months.
All right, and that is a wrap on March development update. We made it to the end.
Ooh, we did it. Boy, this is beautiful. I'm just flying around the ship right now, actually, in like ghost mode, just watching you drive around, and it looks great.
Yeah, I'm just having fun with everybody on here and just trying to Sari people around so they can see the experience before we end up killing the ship.
Love it.
Rip.
Love it. Well, guys, I just want to say to the group here, obviously, and of course the broader Ashes of Creation team, the Intrepid team, phenomenal work with this release. This was a lot of hard work over the last few months. It is a huge expansion. I know that I speak on behalf of both the players as well as the rest of the Intrepid team. kudos to our developers. You guys have done a lot of hard work. Very excited to watch players play test this and give us their feedback and report all the bugs possible as we continue to refine, expand, and really make Ashes of Creation a awesome fucking game. It is very exciting. I'm excited to see these new systems come online. I know our community is.
And we are not in our final form. We still have much more to move forward with. We will be having some updates coming as well throughout, obviously, the time while we have the realms up. But we'll also be, updating every week, so you'll have more access to more content as we move forward. Of course, final reminders that if you are interested in joining us, you can head on over to our website and check out the bundles that are available there. Please head on over to our forums and leave us feedback, forums.ashesofcreation.com. We would love to see that. We have a bunch of dev discussions if you want to help us with our focus testing. If you have additional feedback or suggestions or anything like that, you can just make your own thread. We implore you to check if someone else has already posted about that topic, because obviously combining them makes it a lot easier for us so that we don't have to do that. But there are many places to find us. We are Ashes of Creation in all of the places. This video will be up in its 4K wonder over on our YouTube channel in due time, pending YouTube cooperates with us. And of course, we will post on all of our social channels whenever that is up. A huge thank you to Bill, Brian, Devon, Jeremy, and Jason, and of course Jocelyn for joining us today. And of course, Stephen, your time is always valuable. And you for all joining us, watching. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being here, and continue to give us your feedback and thoughts. Like Stephen said earlier in the live stream, we will be doing some other showcasing of the Turquoise Sea. We'll be working with Jeremy and his team to show off some really cool areas over there, and an article that will go along with that. So we hope that y'all will tune in and check out all of that stuff. And we have so much more. We'll see you next month for our April development update, and I'm sure we're going to have just even more things to tell you about and show you. So thanks for bearing with us. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, toss them our way. We'll work our best on continuing to improve everything that we do. Make Era great.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye.